Wow. San Francisco at Cleveland. Do you think San Fran loses another game this year?
I'd say yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to click on their schedule right now, and I'm going to tell you exactly when I think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I think it will happen against the. I think the Eagles will do them. I think the Eagles will do them again this year. And at least I can't talk about the playoffs, but I'm going to say when they play them, they got to go to Philly in the cold in December. I think there's a good chance that Philly's going to beat them at home.
Yeah. So here's
Or
my
I
go
could
ahead.
even see the Ravens coming there too on Christmas. Last one on Christmas. I could see the Ravens coming there on Christmas, delivering a little Christmas surprise on them.
That would be a very interesting game to see if the Ravens can put it together at that point. I think honestly, like my biggest takeaway from this game was, you know, Purdy didn't have CMC, he didn't have Debo, and he just didn't look good. Like so, like when I understand the Browns' defense is like different, but it's like, I mean, you still have a pretty good O line. I know they are grading pretty bad in pass block via PFF, but I mean, you still have a lot more than a lot of other people have. So my thing is like to play that poorly, and I understand everyone has those games, but it's just like this is the first time we've seen the 49ers not just like dominate. And it was ugly. And it was
Oh yeah,
I think it showed what Brock Purdy lacks in like natural talent.
no, for sure. And I was gonna say, to your point, you're absolutely right. So, and again, you know me, I've been at this point, I'm like a Brock Purdy supporter. And I don't say anything. At this point, I've been saying positive things about him, but while still acknowledging that he's really at his best when the team's also performing at their best allows him to be, because that's really the only way that the marriage works. Yeah, I think to your point, this is really one of those games where I don't think, yes, we see bad. My point I was going to make is we see quarterbacks that are good have really, really bad stinkers. But I don't know if I ever see like an elite quarterback have a stinker this low. Like this is a really low stinker where it's like you barely got over the 100-yard mark. You threw less than 50% completion. You did not even throw one more touchdown than interceptions. You evened out the ratio. Like that's one of those stinkers that you really, really don't see like stars having often. So if anything, what I think we need to come back to the situation is it's kind of like let's slow the roll on the whole like he's a star, he's elite. He does his thing. That's what I think. At this rate, Brock Purdy does his thing, and he does his thing really well when the offense is playing at its peak. But like we said, if you throw him into a normal guys and like the average Joe per se QB situation, it's not all that easy. It doesn't look as easy as he's making it look on these other weeks, right? That's I think the main thing we got to hit at.
Yeah, and I also, just in my opinion, and then I'll move on to the Browns, because like my thing also is like the 49ers have a really good defense, and they lost to a XFL backup quarterback. Like, I guess my thing is like if you're as elite as you're supposed to be as a team, there's no way you should lose this game to the Browns. And even if the 49ers were healthy with CMC and Debo, I'm not all that convinced that they'd win.
I mean, it's like, you know what? And this the thing is, they had their chance to win this game too. That's the thing is, let it be clear. They had their chance. They pissed the drive away. It's not like
And
they didn't have a chance. It's not like they didn't have multiple chances. They were the ones who like they didn't get beaten. They legitimately lost the game. And let me be clear, hats off to the Browns. You played a hell of a game. You got to play like that against a team like this when you're that outmatched. They deserve the win completely. That's not what I'm saying that they didn't. All I'm saying is the Niners threw them the game. That's really what it comes down to.
and also, here's my thing. Okay. You trade all this for CMC, and you don't have a pick until the third round, and then you use it on a kicker. Now, people could say, like, oh, yeah, he hasn't missed yet, and Purdy put them in position to win, blah, blah, blah. You, I know kickers have off games, they miss kicks, but to use a third round pick on them when you don't have a first and second, it's just kind of like he. It's just bad optics, in my opinion. Like, you can't lose this game to a backup quarterback on the Browns.
Yeah, no, you can't. And I just want to go back to the thing with the kicker too, real quick. You know, not that again, Jake Moody's not even like he's having a bad year or anything. I just think, we look at a lot of great kickers and their draft position. I think what the realization you got to come to as a as a GM is maybe the less pressure you put on these guys coming out of school, the better they're going to perform once they get into your organization. It's almost like they're a completely mental case position.
Yeah.
I'd say of any other position group, they're the most emotional, they're the most whatever you want to say, where they get in their own head. So you got to kind of throw them a bone in the sense of you can't put all that pressure on them. You got to just let them come in and have nothing on their shoulders. You got to kind of just, this is your only shot. You got to like, you got to almost like it, but in the sense of, but then there's no pressure where it's like, you have to be the guy. It's kind of like you either are going to be a guy and make in this league or you're not, but we didn't draft you with the pressure of like, you have to be the guy. I
Right.
think when you take a great kicker and you put that pressure on him, it's kind of just, it makes him fold.
Yeah. I didn't like the pick. I think, I don't know. It just was unnecessary to me. And I think also, and this is kind of like going to be my cap on this, when PJ Walker throws you two interceptions and you're an elite team like the 49ers, that's two extra possessions that they didn't score on. And like you have to take advantage of that, and they just didn't. So I that's pretty much all I have. I mean I think it's just kind of like a I don't want to say it's a fluke, but like obviously everyone loses, and the Niners are 4-1, so you can't really knock them. I guess I just don't like the way they lost the game.
No, this is definitely, and I'll say, like, I used to have those weeks when the Saints used to be really dominant a few years ago, like 2018, 20, where you're like, we really just did this against a team where you just show up so flat in a game you should have won. That's one
Yeah,
of those ones. But again, but again, it's all about how you bounce back, and it's a 1 week at a time thing. If you bounce back next week, you look great. You can't sit here and hang your head on this week. It's 1 week. You got to
no,
move forward.